Hi, I'm Kristen Burton, certified clinical thermographer and trainer for MAH00020. And I'm here today with Sharon Edwards, Doctor of Natural Medicine from Canada. And she is one of our interpreting physicians, but first and foremost, she is a thermographer. And she got her start in thermography much different than I did. And so we're here to tell each other our stories. So welcome, Sharon, and I want to hear, how did you get started in thermography? What was it like?
Perfect. I got started with thermography a number of years ago in 2011. At that point, I was not a member of what I would call the MAH00020 community. I started off with a much different experience and a much different setup and design of a system. So I did not ever imagine that as a thermographer I could ever have anything that was this easy to use. I started off with a very basic, simple tripod and a camera. I also started off with some relatively unstable software, and I experienced a lot of technical issues along my thermography imaging experiences. So as time evolved, things began to get older, and software never continued to update. And so there was a loss of communication over time between the camera and the compatibility of the software with the equipment. And so I got to a position where I was forced to change, and I came across MAH00020. And it's been one of the best experiences, and I've grown to really appreciate all of the components of the MAH00020 imaging system, from the cameras to the stands and to even the software.
And it all works seamlessly together now. And in the past, you told me a story about you were imaging with a tripod.
Absolutely.
And you had to just, how did you do that? I don't even know, because I'm so spoiled by this stand. How did you manipulate a tripod and get a good image?
Well, there was a lot of maneuvering, and there was a lot of sweating, and there was a lot of trying to make myself look professional with very unprofessional equipment. So, imaging certain components of the body was easier than others. So imaging the breast obviously was easier. But when it came to full body imaging, where you need to move the camera a lot up and down, side to side, it was very impossible. And so I would steer away from actually doing those types of imaging just because the equipment was so difficult and so challenging for me to use.
Wow. So those early days were rough. And then...
They were rough, but I stuck with it because I believed in thermography. Didn't realize that there was anything else out there, but then, like I say, I came across MAH00020 and found a wonderful change.
Great. And so you met Dr. Carol.
Yep.
And you bought the MAH00020 system. How long ago was that?
That was about 3 years ago. Now, it took me a little while to ease into the process. So actually what I did was I kept my old camera. I simply bought new software, and I still used my tripod. I didn't realize there was anything else out there until one day Dr. Carol Chandler said to me, "I have a stand and you have to try it." So she shipped it out to me. Obviously I opened it, unpacked it out of the box, and assembled it all, and that was it. I was sold. I've moved from the manual stand to the completely and fully automated stand. Love it.
Me too. And so I'll tell you mine now, okay? My turn.
Perfect.
Because I started working for Dr. Carol Chandler in 2011. So we had our 2011 starts together in thermography. And it was, from the get-go, I had an automated stand. From the get-go, I had good software. I can't even understand the concept of you saying the camera and the software didn't work well together in your other system. Because for me, I've never ever had a problem, and I've probably imaged thousands of people now. And so I started out, working for Dr. Carol Chandler, who's considered the mother of modern-day thermography. And I always had a stand that went up and down. I always had a pan and tilt where the camera went from side to side and up and down. And of course the software has evolved, and some of the components have evolved over the past 6 years for the better. But really, I started out so pampered and spoiled,
Absolutely.
I can't even imagine what those dark ages were like for you. But now with MAH00020, we've got this camera, and so let's talk about the camera itself.
Perfect.
First of all, resolution.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
High resolution cameras.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell me how that picture looked like 5 years ago as opposed to how it looks with the
Absolutely.
camera?
So we do notice a significant difference in the quality and the specificity of the image. So the higher resolution cameras obviously allow us to see more within that image, allowing us as interpreters to be able to evaluate and assess those images much more clearly.
Better interpretation with the higher resolution
Absolutely.
camera. You know, I look at some of those old images from even 4 or 5 years ago, or even from thermographers who are still using those old cameras, and by the way, the majority of them are. The MAH00020 thermographers have the opportunity to have these good cameras, but most other thermographers are not using these high resolution cameras, and I will look at those images and think they're out of focus.
Absolutely. They
Yeah.
do appear that way. They aren't, but
They
are
aren't,
that
but
way.
that's the best that that camera can do with that resolution.
Yeah.
And so also we have some features here that we just can't wait to show you. So first of all, that old tripod, show us the up and down and how that has changed.
So we can move the camera up,
Isn't that great?
and we can move the camera all the way down, making imaging of full body and all of the regions much simpler.
So easy, so easy. And even when I would go mobile and have to go to a different doctor's office, I had a camera that I had to move up and down myself. So I remember that kind of thing, but still it was on a good stand, not a tripod. And you know, just moving that up all the time can be structurally difficult on your body.
Absolutely.
And with the tripod, I can't imagine how you always got it even. I mean, you must have been actually really good working a tripod. So let's see the pan and tilt now, going back and forth and not having to move the camera.
Move the camera up a little bit.
Right, see it tilt up.
We can move the
And now
camera
it's coming down. By the way, the down tilt is great for like tops of the feet, things like that. The up tilt is great for getting underneath the breast for inferiors, but also just those micro corrections that you make as you're imaging someone. You can get beautifully positioned images now.
And we can move side to side.
Yep, panning from side to side. We can do so many great things with this that, my gosh, you used to have to do all manual.
Manual, yeah.
I don't know how
It's
you
all
did
a
it.
click of a button.
So, and also, once you buy this system, and I can speak for this because I train for Dr. Carroll, you get a training where you are learning how to use this to its fullest extent. You're here with us, actually, in this very training room, with us for 4 straight days, not just learning how to plug on your camera and just get it going, but how to image properly and take good images and what that looks like. So, so important to have good training and know how to take full advantage of this amazing camera and its software. So thank you, Sharon, for coming and telling me your story. I'm fascinated by the old days that were 7 years ago.
I am a graduate. I am a graduate in many ways.
So if you're looking for a camera, by all means, call Dr. Carroll. Talk to her about MAH00020. You won't be disappointed. And we'll see you in training in the future.